So yeah, very good morning to all of you. And so I'm really happy to have you all on a curated session on the evolving role of product management today. And I would now request Mr. Siddharth Mukherjee, Senior Product Manager at HD Digital Streams, to throw some light on our theme for today.
Thank you, Jharna. I welcome everyone once again. So the theme is actually on product management, how it is evolving. We have seen in the recent few years that startups are booming across all industries, and there is a very strong push towards digitization. With this, the importance of product management has risen many folds, making it one of the most sought after job profiles. Hence, with that comes a lot of competition, challenge, and unfortunately, a lot of information disparity on how to get into this field and build a career in it. Furthermore, the core of the product management remains the same, which is primarily solving user problems. But that being said, the role of a PM is steadily evolving, and that is due to innovations in technologies and processes. There is a constant learning and unlearning process. And keeping this in mind, we are here today with all industry stalwarts from across different sectors to know and understand more about this profile.
Thank you so much, Siddharth. So, one second. So I would like to begin by introducing our panelists. And we at Insight are really honored to have Ms. Nachiketa Chandra, who's Vice President of Product Management at Mercer Mettl. Then we have Mr. Divy Kohli, who's Deputy General Manager at the Adani Group. Mr. Ankur Bansal, Director of Product at Pegasystems. Mr. Anurag Gautam, who's a Senior Product Manager at Microsoft. Mr. Jaideep Singh, who's Product Manager at Samsung. Mr. Yathartha Bansal, who's again a Senior Product Manager at Uber. And we have Ms. Shikha, Gulhar, who's Director of Product Management at the Expedia Group. Over to you, Siddharth.
Thank you, Jharna. So now that we have set the theme of this discussion, I would like to start with Divya and understand that how important is the role of product management in a digital organization and how it has evolved. Over to you, Divya.
Sure. Thanks. Morning, everyone, once again. Now, Siddharth, as a prerequisite, you started out that there is an uprise of the digital space, and a lot of startups are coming up, and they are focusing on towards, the core focus remains that we need to think about a user. Anytime that we're designing a digital product, the days are gone that whatever I design and I push it to the market, the consumers need to consume it. Now, the users, consumers, whosoever is consuming a product, we are dealing with a wide spectrum of users and the ended consumers, from Gen X, Gen Y to millennials. So everyone has a different set of needs and the expectation from our product. Now, during our last conversation also, what I try to highlight is that once we are designing a product as a product manager, we need to go to the bare basics and bare minimum as to what will it take for me to consume that product.
Right.
You make the most fantastic product out of a thing box sitting in your office and deliberating with 2-3 of your teammates, and you roll out a product. But guess what? Eventually, when you roll out in the market, there is no need. The consumer don't see a value of it.
Right.
Now, I give you latest examples of the panelists or the players that we have. Anybody who's based out in Delhi NCR would have come across in the last 1 year. There is a fantastic app aggregator which has come out with the name of BlueSmart. Now, what they tried to do, it's a normal taxi service. You book a cab from one place to another place to a destination. But with Ola, Uber, to name the two big players in the market, the biggest disadvantage that as a consumer that we used to face is that the frequent cancellation.
Correct.
The due diligence of consumer problems, he spoke to the users, he understood the space. And what he did, he didn't allow the feature of cancellation by the driver. The user still has the power to reschedule or cancel, but at least once you book a cab, there is a sure shot guarantee that yes, the cab will arrive because the driver doesn't have. So, that was the problem statement that he tried to solve. And how he did it, that comes to the next point, doing a user research and a market research. You go out. As a product manager, we are more than happy to be confined in our cocoon, sitting in our offices and deciding, okay, this is the best product because my gut says so, or my team members' gut says so. But guess what? This is what not the user demand. So what we do at Adani also, we are, as I think everyone knows that we are launching a super app, and Tata Neo is already there, which for many of a season was not a successful application, and still they're struggling. So what we're doing for the last year or so, we're doing an intensive user research. We are going at all our properties, let's say airports, we're speaking to our Fortune customers, to our electricity, gas, all the consumer facing businesses. We are doing a discussion with the consumer. Okay, what is the problem?
Right.
What exactly would they want that in that application or that website that we are launching for them, the so-called super application? So once we do crack that, we are home safe. We know we've tried to solve a problem. We came up with a digital product which will ease their journey and solve issues or the expectations, answer the expectation that they have from that product.
True. Right. That helps. That's quite insightful, actually. And that's actually rightly said that no matter what product it is, no matter how many good features they have, it has to be for the end user, and the end user needs to find it absolutely useful, and it should be solving a primary problem for them.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Now, jumping on to understanding that when a business is trying to launch a product, it has to be, and if it is thinking about users as solving user problems at the end, how does an organization or how does a job seeker know uh, that a particular organization is product led? And I would like Jaideep to throw some light on that.
Yeah, thank you, Siddharth. Uh, so if we speak about a product-led organization, uh, so I won't go into a typical definition of what is a product-led organization, because I guess our audiences can easily go into the internet and search it. So I'll just share what my understanding is in very layman terms. So in my opinion, there can be majorly three kinds of organizations. So one can be which is very much top hierarchy driven, where the senior executives will take all the decisions and pass it down to the working level. The second can be a very sales oriented organization, which used to be typical mindset in a lot of organizations some years back. And now we are very much seeing the product led organizations evolving, and they are performing better than their counterparts. So there are two major aspects of product-led organizations that I feel are there. So one is that, as Divya rightly said, that customer is the center. Your user is at the center of your strategy, of your go-to-market strategy. So be it your strategy of acquiring new users or retaining your existing users, or converting your maybe non-transacting users to transacting users. So the focus is on customer only. The other aspect is what is the mindset of the entire organization. When I say the mindset, it means mindset of the product team, sales team, engineering, design, everything. And in fact, I feel that if you want to really identify if an organization is having that product-oriented mindset or not, you should, just take a look at the sales or marketing guy of your organization or the business head. So if you see that the sales and marketing team and the business team is actually speaking about the product, and they are
Right.
seeking to derive profits out of the product based on the offerings, the values that you are offering to the customer, then I feel that that organization is already on a path of product led based, or it's heading towards it.
Right.
Yeah. So if you if I give some examples from, I'm basically from a mobile manufacturing industry, and if I can give you an example of mobile manufacturers in India. So we all know that we used to have a lot of Indian players like Lava, Micromax, Intex. Around 5-6 years back, they used to hold a market share of around 20-25% in India market. But if you see today, they have been replaced by Chinese brands, or you name it, or Redmi or Oppo, Vivo, and all these players. So what exactly happened? So the only thing was that these Indian players failed to see what the users actually wanted. So that was the time when the industry was shifting from 3G to 4G, and these Indian players couldn't catch up really. What they thought was they had that sales oriented mindset in at the back of their head, because they felt that, okay, we have so much distribution network, and these Chinese players can't really replace us, because we are very deep into we have a very deep distribution networks. But the way that these Chinese brands took was they started selling their products online. So So what I mean to say is that keeping the customers at the core of your at the focus and at the core is what is the main aspect of a product-led organization. Saying that, one additional point I would like to add is that a product-led organization doesn't mean a PM-led organization. I guess this is a very confusing terminology, because at times people who are into product management, I have come across a lot of product managers who often start believing that, okay, since I am the PM, so everything, the ideas will come from my side and I'll be deriving it. I personally believe in democratization of strategies, so that all the decisions are collectively taken, be it from sales team or be it from engineering, design, or product managers.
Rightly said. As a product manager, one needs to be open to all viewpoints coming from different stakeholders and departments, be it peers or seniors, or even from their junior teams. And it's absolutely right that if a sales and marketing team is just not going out talking about numbers rather than talking about the product, it does show a sign that yes, the organization is product led. Thank you for that answer. I would like to jump over to the next question, which is to Shikha, to understand that how relevant it is for a PMs to be from a technology background.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question. And I was just listening to what Divya was mentioning. So first of all, hi, everyone. I think when we're talking about digitalization and which is the core to your topic of this meeting, it kind of gets this added pressure for the non-tech people to think about how important it is for us to understand how we can best incorporate strategies which work in this digital world. So I think let me answer this question more from the sense of looking at more like the pros of either or, and then we can try to conclude more towards what could be a best path forward for people with tech backgrounds or not. So I think if you are from a tech background, that is one thing is for sure, that you will have a lot of understanding with your own engineering team. You'll be able to, relate to their work, what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, what the timelines they're giving, the effort estimation they're putting in forth, and also, more about the feasibility of the solution to the product you're building in. So that definitely comes from a huge advantage of, somebody who has had an engineering background or a tech background. On the other side, I've also seen in my experience working with multiple folks across companies is that specifically folks who are coming from a tech-oriented background, they try to jump to the solution of the product, where, one of the guiding principles for every product manager is more to think from the aspect of what is the problem that I'm trying to solve? Like, what are the use cases and how relevant these use cases are? So they try to bend more towards the final solution. And sometimes, there is always this bent towards getting to a solution quicker than finding the actual problem in place. That is something which I've seen folks from non-tech background, the focus is more towards strategy, trends, market, and then, with the due diligence and data-driven thinking, they're then able to put forth the objective and hypothesis, which then comes to a better feasibility of the solution. So definitely stark elements of pros in both tech and non-tech background. But my steer and advice would be that there is no hard and fast rule where you can actually say that only a tech background person will perform better. I think at the end of the day, it depends on the domain, the industry, the group you are in. So I'll take example of my own portfolio. Working in Expedia, in my own portfolio, there are products which are very customer facing, and where, if we are launching products from 0 to 1, the impact is more about understanding the market and market segmentation. And that's the place where I generally look for recruits or candidates who are able to, decipher the problem statement quicker. But at the other side, for the products which are more for the B2B space, or where, developers is also your end customer, there, or, platforms which are platform as a, product where you're actually building platforms, definitely my inclination is to get folks who are more from the tech background, because their appreciation of even the problem space will be better and they'll be able to vet out better use cases. So I think my guidance would be like, depending on what you have done, like you don't have to go and change your career, but depending on what you have done and where you are in your career, I think you have to really understand what your forte is and pick up products and companies and domains where you see that you can really exercise that forte. And eventually, I think for every product manager, it is important to understand, at least at a high level, what is the architecture? What is like the kind of solution? Are we really, incorporating technology into the mix of everything to come up with a smarter and a world-class product? But for that, you don't have to go into the code, right? You don't have to understand data structures or Java language. And I think over a period of time, if you see you have an inclination towards things which are more tech oriented, then there are tons of trainings that you can take which are more suited towards the market and towards the kind of work that's surfacing in these global changing times, and that will keep you more tuned with the technology in place.
Rightly said. Actually, it's more than just to add on to that point, is just how to think like a PM. Is you asking the right questions and then you get to the solution.
Yeah,
absolutely right. And to ask the right questions, you need to think like a product manager. And with that, I would like to ask Anurag, how do you think like a product manager?
Thanks, Yathartha. I think that's a very interesting, question, I would say. And there could be like multiple answers to this part, but I can tell you my experience about that, right?
Right.
First thing first, I can assume is that I think as a PM, you need to be open for a variety of the topics, right? The first important thing is to keep in mind to wonder about everything, not just on the job, but your daily life. Have an open mind about the new concepts, whether it's ideas, whether it's a people, place, things, wonder about everything, consider everything, right? I would say be like a philosopher if you can, right? So why I'm saying this is because a PM combines a lots of things in order to make meaningful progress, right? So can be interested of the lots of different topics. So
right.
Once you start hearing thinking about the problem statement, different news, different topics, I think you can start having a kind of opinion for you, right? And as a PM, I think this is very important that you should have some kind of opinion out of it, right? So the second piece, I would say that look for a deeper meaning, right? Don't just take a surface insight, right? Don't just assume that obviously I spent 5 minutes in reading the topic somewhere in newspaper, Twitter, internet, and I think I know what's the deeper meaning of it, right? So you have to go deeper meaning behind everything that you see, that everything that you hear, right? And there's a lot of subconscious reason for human behavior, I would say. Lots of history trends repeats itself, right? So don't settle on the surface. Don't settle on the surface. Think deeper, and then I think it's all about thinking that how can we improve the entire thing. So third piece would be how can you optimize the stuff? How can you think that it can be improved, right? So once you start interacting, once you start thinking, then of course you can have some opinion that, hey, these are the 5 problems. These are 3 problems which I can think so, right? And might be possible these 3 can be something which can be a game changer for this product, and it can solve the consumer problem. Because as a PM, at the end of the day, you are solving a business problem, a consumer problem. You are bridging a gap out of it, right? So it's very important that you go deeper, you have some opinion, think about how can it can be improved, and don't assume that, say, I have 5 features. So if feature A, feature 2, feature 3, right? So don't assume that if some company is not able to solve that problem, I think they are not thinking in the right direction, or this is not something which I am also thinking in the right directions. So you have to think what may be going on that is venting the product team of the particular company for making these changes. So I think go in that direction. It can give you lots of insight, to determine how to think from a different perspective. There could be business hindrance, there could be a consumer hindrance, there could be some economical hindrance, you never know. But the moment you think that why someone is not doing this, which I can think of, it can give you lots of sense of the multiple variety of things, right? So idea is that as a PM, don't be in rush, first of all. Second is that you have to be very patient and trust on the data, right? And to get the data, you have to do lots of research sometimes, right? And the most important part I would say is that think from the business perspective also, because at the same time you are thinking from the consumers, but you are there to bridge a gap, right? Just try to understand like what all things quick wins, what all quick wins can get you the business to the like some different layer, right? Just try to understand which are the low hanging fruits, which are the quick wins for my product and or for for the things which I'm thinking for, right? And then try to maximize impact in the shortest amount of time, right? I would say for the PM, for the aspiring PMs, always ask whys, right? Because the moment you ask why, it can give a lots of sense of clarity that, hey, why exactly? So for example, if you wanted to be PM, why exactly do you think that you wanted to be PM? Why do you believe that he is going to use this product? Why the product is built in that way that we are using it, right? So try to again get a deeper level of why, and then it will start. Sometimes at some time you feel that I have an answer. So having said this, I think I would say the most important one is also that have an empathy, right? Be kind to the people. Sounds like we have all the skills and we know how to be kind to the people, but the idea is that listen actively, right? Don't try to be judgmental, right? Try to understand what's the problem statement of the users, what are the pain areas. It may be your family, it may be your friends, it may be your co-workers whom you interact, anyone, right? So be having empathic way so that you can understand what exactly the sentiments are about this product or about the consumers, right? And then only you can have a different mindset altogether. I would say as a PM, you can always have a different approaches. Don't stick to the plan one, right? You can have a 1, 2, 3 plans, right? Just think that what plans is going to be work like really well from the organization point of view, from the business point of view, on multiple things, right? So consider the alternate approach. Hey, plan one requires 10 resources, X amount of dollars to be invested. Plan B requires some Y amount of dollars to be invested, 10 resources plus 10 resources more. So the moment you have a multiple options, then of course, as a person, as a human being, you can be able to understand the problem statement much more and able to pick the right approaches for you, right? The last thing I would say that just make your decision-making muscles very strong, right? Make more decisions, make quick decisions, right? And I'm sure this. What I'm saying is that for making a quick decision, of course, you need a data. You need to have some confidence out of it. That requires a practice. It cannot happen over the fly, or maybe after reading one kind of tutorials or something like that. That requires a lots of things you have to be learned over the period. But the fact is that as a PM, once you're making the right and quick decisions, I think you are in the right shape for your product, for your business, and then you are moving ahead in the right direction, right? So I think that's a thought I would say as a any for the aspiring PMs or existing PMs should have, so that actually they can think in the right directions. Because I come from technology background, transited to the product management, and trust me, as I think Shikha was mentioning that the most of the technology folks are in execution mode. But as a PM, once you are in a different boat, it's altogether different game. You have to think about your consumers. You have to think about all the stakeholders which you have. At the same time, you also need to add the value to the ecosystem. It's not about just solving one problem for maybe n number of time. So I think that's a thing that probably how it can be move in the right directions as a thing, and it will help you to understand like how to think like a PM. And this is how we actually think whenever we are in the job.
Yes, absolutely right. I mean, that's quite insightful. And I think the primary takeaways from that insight is that we need to dig deeper and also take the help of data and research. And when we speak of research, it's also talking to our consumers on a daily basis. And I think any PM out there, they need to speak with the users on a daily basis, understand what problems they are railing and what they are understanding. So, Ankur, I would like to understand that how do you identify these customer needs? I mean, beyond just features. I mean, there are organizations out there who might be stuck in a build trap. They are just building features, but users are not using it. But how do you get to that this is exactly what is required, and what is the need of the market?
So I think all of my friends in this panel have already touched upon certain aspects that how important it is to understand the customer needs.
Right.
So just going into the specific of this particular questions, like what often I have seen that the product features are confused within a customer needs. If you look a little bit deeper into those aspects, like the customer needs are the motivators that drive customers to buy or use a product over other, whereas the product features are specifically how the customer needs will be fulfilled. So it's very important to first understand the customer needs and then build features to satisfy those needs would be there. Otherwise, there is a higher risk that you will build something people might not use it, but from the product perspective. So I would say that as a product manager, you should invest a right amount of regular discovery to figure it out that what are those needs are there and start segregating those needs. There is a chance that some need could be that is very, very critical where you have the table stakes needs to be fulfilled immediately. And there could be a certain need could be there that is in a more visionary kind of stuff that you wanted to address over the period of time. Now, looking into the second part of this particular question about like how should a PM get to know those absolute needs for the user? So what I have seen with my experience has been that being working with multiple companies, and there are many sources to understand what are the needs of a user being there. But if I have to categorize, I would say there are primarily three major areas which will help you to figure it out what are the real customer needs being there. So the number one is being the user research. It's a very, very powerful approach to understand the user needs. Like either that could be through the user interviews, could be a one-on-one, you might do a focus group discussions or certain kind of surveys you will do to understand those aspects. It finally, actually those interviews and those user research helps to learn more about the decision-making process of a user that and build on the observations that you're collecting, maybe from your current customers, maybe from your former customer, or maybe the non-customer, the people who have not even used your product at any point of time. The second approach, I would say that to identify those moods would be the social listening. Like at this moment, if you see, people do spend time on a lot of different platforms. So you should figure it out, whichever product in your area is being there, where people are spending most of their time. Could be a social platform, could be some other platform would be there. Try to understand that what people are talking about, their pain points, certain questions, what kind of information they are looking around. And looking into this particular data would help you to understand the trends and opportunities that might be the needs not coming it out very specifically out of the people are using your product. And I think I would say the last thing in those areas would be more around the data analysis. And I think earlier also people touched upon this part. So data is in a very, very concise way to figure it out what people are doing. So to understand the product journey, the product funnel, and most importantly, I would say that like keeping track of all the data, what exactly people are doing, what kind of feedback they are doing, what kind of data points they are living into all those aspects, which help you to observe and figure it out. These are the gaps would be there. So I think just to summarize in all those aspects, I would say that like, and this has been repeated earlier also. So if you look into the world's most successful companies are there, they are all customer centric. And they continuously invest time in understanding the customer needs. And that's the formula that like you should figure it out the customer needs and then build how you're going to solve those problems.
Right, absolutely, rightly said. I mean, there have been, there are various business cases out there, companies like Yahoo, Nokia, which couldn't really dwell deeper into this particular aspect of product management, and hence they are where they are right now.
Yeah.
And the other companies, specifically the FANG companies, have been constantly innovating and have been growing by leaps and bounds. And because of this simple aspect, they have been very customer centric and absolutely looking at the needs, what exactly the user wants. Thank you so much, Ankur, for that insightful answer. I would like to change the track a little and just try and understand on a career progression of a product manager. How does one plan? How does one go about it? And I would like Nachiketa to throw some light on that.
So, hi everyone. We've had a very enriching session till now, which Siddharth has been moderating fabulously, and we've got a great panel of speakers. And if you look at career progressions of each of these panelists, let me take a very small example of the group that's here. Okay, there is a mix of people who have a tech background, people who don't have a tech background. You'll see people, who are at the start of their career, the middle of their career, and somewhere nearing the top. Let me put it like that. Okay. So this mix is a great mix to be talking to the audience over here. And the panelists gave me to understand that, the audience today that we have is also a mix where there are some tech, exponents who'd like to make the transition into product. And there is a bunch of people who are starting their career and they would like information on, is product the new thing to do? So, there is this every 5 years there comes a new cool career to have. So a lot of people feel today product management is a very cool career, which it is. But at least the time that maybe Divy and I would have started our careers, sorry, I sound like a dinosaur right now. Okay. But at that time, there was nothing called product management, to be very honest. People have transitioned from various roles into the field of product management. It has evolved as we speak. So I can see the smile on Divi's face that yes, we are dinosaurs here. So the kind of help that you all have today is not something we had at that point in time. So, it was core competencies of how we define a product manager today that intrinsically existed in us, or else our leadership sort of drilled it into our heads. And I would not take a world view of it right now. I'll take a very personal view of it. So I started at InfoEdge, which is led by Sanjeev and Hitesh. A lot of you would know InfoEdge. And so I did Naukri, I did 99 acres, worked at Zomato for a bit. Okay, then took a little bit of a career break, came back, worked at Mettl. Each of these you'll see I've gone one level next with each brand that I have worked. And what I kind of found is now, in hindsight, you may call it wisdom in hindsight, all that information is now available in terms of blogs, people's experiences. So I'll just summarize it for you, in terms of what are my findings. There are more findings available and not limited to the views that I'm sharing with you right now, but this is a very personal journey. What I found was there are 4 pillars on which any product manager can stand. The first one, a lot of people on this panel have spoken about, is customer insight. There is no escaping it. Whether you're starting your career, you're in the middle of your career, or you're at the top, there is no way that you can escape from it. What level you are at and how much customer insight you are able to get is really up to you, and the kind of business that you're doing is different for SaaS, different for PaaS, different for B2B, different for B2C, but no escaping from it at all. The next skill you need to have, which you at the starting must acquire, is product execution. Again, there is no escape. Just get stuff done. And while doing that, please don't burn any bridges. I'm oversimplifying some of these things for you. I can see a few nods as well. Okay, you'll have various stakeholders you'll deal with. You'll have the QA team, you'll have tech team, you'll have senior management to deal with. You may have your peers to deal with. So you have to base your ideas and your execution on very, very solid grounding of data. Make your case as to why. Remove yourself, and you can be passionate, but take a third party view to the problem. Like one of our panelists also pointed, you can't say I'm saying this so do it. It doesn't fly like that. Okay, so you need to have certain frameworks for decision making. Use RICE, use Moscow, use whatever it is that works in your organization, any newfangled one that comes in, but ensure it is data driven. It is not person specific. The minute you get personal about it, get attached to an idea, you'll have trouble having it executed.
True.
So when you start your career, execution is a very, very important part of it. If you don't get these competencies right, you will never be able to move to product strategy. So a key mistake that a lot of freshers I see, they say, I want to join product management because I want to do product strategy. Guys, it's a ladder. You can't reach level 5 if you haven't been through level 1, 2, 3, 4, much like a video game. You're not going to start at level 5 or 36 or maybe 256 like Candy Crush, but you have to get there. It's a process. You will evolve with time. It's not a magic pill that you can eat. Harry Potter give you a pill, like one of the Georges, the twins, Fred and George, pill khaya and you're a PM. It doesn't work like that. You have to go through the grind. You will have to do all the hard work that is involved. So get your product execution right if you're at the bottom of the ladder. Next level of your ladder will be product strategy. There are various definitions of it, and you can read up a lot of books, blogs. There are training institutes available to you now, which maybe Divya and I didn't have at the time that we started. But our training institute was very much on the job. We got yelled at by our customers, by our senior management, and we learned. We were very open to learning. So a PM, there is no way the guy or that woman can shut down their learning skills. So you need to be a lifelong learner. evolve as the market is evolving, and not just the market, even technology. So Shikha gave you a great answer that are you a tech PM or are you not a tech PM? Depends on where you join, what your strength. I'm not an engineer. Okay. I worked for 20 years and I have very high functioning tech teams who I interact with. Okay. So you need to keep up. There is really no escape around it. That said, it is not mandatory to be an engineer. It's an advantage. So the kind of businesses that have fallen in my path, in my career, and been, by destiny, they have been a great fit for me, is where I have worked in digitizing all offline products into online products. So if you look at Naukri, it was digitization of jobs. If you look at 99 Acres, it was digitization of the real estate market. So, fairly relevant to the theme of digitization. Forget about every other digitization. Look at the last 2 years of what has happened to this world. It is nothing but product management. You are dealing with absolute unknown. You have no idea what's going to hit you. Okay. Did anyone predict COVID? No, they had no idea. No business continuity plan ever planned for something like that. Okay. No institute taught you that everything will shut down. What you're going to do. So whether it was education, whether it was essential services, whether it was medicine, so everything is now getting digitized. Education, colleges and schools, few of them figured out, okay, we can do things like online exams. But in the last 2 years, I have personally seen, crazy level of digitization. So simple things like getting food to people who were sick with COVID, getting medicines to them. Had we not digitized, was there not a PM sitting in the center as a hub and spoke for all of this to get delivered? I don't think we'd have the comfort, that we did. It took us some time to figure out as a world, as the nation, maybe as PMs, as businesses, as to, how to survive. But it was just the resilient ones who, did not stop learning, had a will to survive and execute are the ones who made it. So everyone went into execution mode. I've seen CEOs had to get off their high tower and go into execution mode. So guys, don't forget your skills on execution ever. And it's not just that an APM needs it. I think all of us need it at some point to, roll up our sleeves and, get going at it. And the next skill that is there is influencing people. That's my fourth pillar for you. Uh, I don't think anyone in the organization kind of reports to us, but we need all of these partners to come together with us to deliver. Someone even as the HR team or finance team, which has nothing to do with product management. But if you don't take the whole organization with you like a large ship rowing towards the same direction, it's not going to happen. You may need help with hiring. You may need help with retaining people. You may need vendors to get onboarded because you like a certain tool. Okay, you take a build versus buy decision and say, hey, I just have an open source library for this. Why don't I just pick it up instead of building it? Right. Now you need the finance team because they're going to make the payment. You can't pay with your own credit card. So if you don't, have all these, sort of departments working with you in the same direction in a common vision, it's going to be very difficult. So, for APMs, PMs, AGMs, the responsibility may increase as you go up the ladder, but these skills are absolutely key. I don't think they go away at any point in time. So with these 4 pillars, if I could just take you through a concept of, something being I-shaped and T-shaped, at the beginning of your career, it's okay to be I-shaped. You gain, all your product specific skills. And later, as you climb up the ladder, okay, different organizations will call you different names, but I'm going to term it as someone who's starting, someone who's middle management, someone who's senior management, and then the CXO suite, which is the CPOs and CTOs and things like that. So by the time you move to the top of the spectrum, you need transferable skills. You'll have to be more T-shaped, more generic. So people starting out, guys, there's no substitute for hard work. Please acquire all the skills that you need. But as you grow more senior, you will need more people skills than the skill of taking just a everyday decision. So that's something you will grow into. I've seen a lot of people who have moved from different departments. Say someone moved from ops, someone moved from tech, someone moved from design, and all these product managers have been trained. Say in my leadership and with a few other leaders also in our organization. So we don't have a profile for a PM. Each one comes with their skills. Okay. And I've, I think one of them has even joined. I looked him up in, the list of participants, Nippon. So he's a great tech guy who wanted to move to product. Now they have transferable skills again. Okay, so they learned how to do tech stuff. They are champions at doing design, but then they start asking the right questions, like people in this panel have said. Talk to your customers, understand the real problem that you're solving. So if you get these transferable skills and then move up the ladder, I'm sure you can, reach the CPO level, and there's nothing stopping you, sort of from getting there. And the other thing that I wanted to explain was that there are different kinds of PMs as well. So don't limit yourself to departments. Forget what background you came from. Once you've become a PM, you started working. You have different kinds of PMs in, say, categories, for example, but not limited to, say, people who do feature-oriented work. Okay, there are some PMs who specialize in, say, growth-related work. There are some PMs who are great at working on scale. Okay, and there are some who are working, sort of, they love working at getting product market fit much earlier in the game. So when you're starting out, you may not have the luxury of choosing which kind you want to be, but each of these, it has now evolved into a specialization. So you see Ankur's background, it's different. Okay, he's followed a different trajectory. Ankur's had different trajectory from Anurag. Jaideep's different. Yathartha solving problems at Uber. So depending on the kind of business you have options now. So like Divy mentioned, he's working on like a large portfolio of products. Okay, so you have different kinds of PMs who will be doing different kinds of work. You can be good at either of it. You don't have to choose in the beginning of your career. You can choose little later on as well, and then start applying to companies who solve these problems at different curves of where they exist in the product. So I have given you a lot of gyan, but it's all very practical when it comes down to doing stuff. What I'd recommend to the younger audience here is take on projects to really understand if you are up for this game. Once you're in there, it's the hamster's wheel. Take out some time to think about what growth you want, make some goals for yourself, and start working towards them. In the humdrum of life, we tend to lose focus. Let's say, okay, I have these 6 list things, let me just get through it. But sort of air gap yourself from these everyday activities, think about your career, plan, and then execute. So I've seen a lot of people make these progressions. It's really possible. It's been done. It's out there. It's really up to you how you want to take advantage of the situation. And you have this great panel. Feel free to reach out to any of them. I'm sure none of them will say no if someone of you needs help. Yeah, Siddharth. So that kind of sums up my answer. I'm sure I could go on forever, but I think we are limited by the kind of time we have. So yeah, I'll be happy to take questions later.
Surely, I mean, that was a very, very insightful answer. And firstly, let me say it on behalf of everyone who are attending here. I don't think you are Divya, or for that matter, anyone is a dinosaur. I think you guys are books of wisdom. And from this story, from this answer itself, I had a lot of aha moments. Oh yes, right. That's how. I mean, I also personally learned a lot. Thank you so much for that. Moving on to my next panelist, Yathartha, who is from Uber Eats. Just wanted to understand that there are businesses which are operations heavy, like Uber, Zomato, Ola, and where there are various sets of customers, and they face a lot of operation challenges. And whenever we speak of such brands, there are always that end customer experience which is coming into play. How do you handle that, and how do product management can help resolve those problems which users are facing from every day and every moment when they use that particular product?
Yeah, so I think on that one, let me just help people understand the structure of the organization so that you understand better and you don't feel like it's a rocket science or something. But when we say operational issues, so we have heavy operations team to make things work. Now, what happens is being product managers and operation guys, you're on the same side, which means end goal for everybody is we have to make the customer experience awesome, right? That's the end goal for everyone. Now, being a product manager and with these operational guys, how you can make it better is that you don't need to get that perfect product first to make it work or make the experience amazing. This is where you can actually take those baby steps, or we call it the MVP is the latest term which we have in the market, which is just roll out the minimal viable product and then see the customer experience, how it works. And at the same time, you have that operational team to help you achieve that excellent experience. Now, to elaborate a little more on that, how exactly works is that the goal is exactly end of day what you're focused upon. In terms of customer experience, there could be n number of things, right? So let's say you just need to first figure out that 1, 2, 3 OKRs, which is again, in a big organization, generally if you follow those OKRs and stuff, which is primarily nothing. What's the objective? What do you want to achieve here? There could be 100 things, and that's where the prioritization plays a very, very important role. Because how do you prioritize what you do? Because being PM, I mean, everybody has opinions, everybody has thoughts around it. Being a PM, you need to clear out that noise and then follow the path that, okay, for the immediate next 3 months, and depends on the organization. Startup could be next month, big company could be 6 months, but you need to define that for X amount of time. These are my top 2 goals. Now, from those top 2 goals, how will you achieve that? Now, when you are working with that operational team, a lot of things you might just feel that, oh, maybe operational team can still make it work. So talking about Uber, we have sort of Uber Eats specifically, we have almost 3 customers. We have the end user who's actually paying, customer or consumer or eater. The other one is the courier. Again, it's again a consumer for us because we need to make sure their experience is amazing. Because unless their experience is amazing, they are happy with the platform. Again, you'll see churn, and in the long run, as we say, the companies evolve, even super big companies flop. So that's where you need to continuously iterate on. And the third one is a merchant, which you need to get onboarded. So with all these 3 players, what you need to make sure is that with operational team, what can be maybe managed by these guys? Taking a very simple example so that everybody can connect. Let's say we want to onboard a merchant. Now, there could be one way. We build a self-serve platform, takes N amount of time to build that, to get it to completion. Or what you can do is at least have some product pieces in place, get the operational team together, make sure the merchant experience is good, right? Because in self-serve, what happens is you expect the merchant to do it end-to-end by themselves. On the other hand, with the operational team is, oh, we'll give you the best experience. You provide us the data and we do it on your behalf. So that's how you try to solve for that particular problem, which is for the merchants. So that's how we actually try to solve the problem, which means you try to figure out that what are the top objectives and what are the key results, how will you achieve them? With that, you define the next products or the next features. Let's say I'm just talking to the at the most granular level now, that which functionality you want to build, which will solve for it. Now, the functionalities could be 2 ways. As I mentioned, it could be directly consumer facing, or it could be for those operational guys. Let's say when you talk about Amazon and stuff, right? You see that support experience is amazing. Honestly, they may not have a completely end-to-end automated product. Let's talk about, let's say, refunds and appeasements. A lot of time what happens is you have a problem, you raise a request. At times, these are auto appeasements in place, which is amazing. But till you get to that product, you have operational guys that, okay, if somebody reaches out, they have a problem, please make sure that their experience is amazing, at least you refund the money. That's the last thing which you can do, because firstly, they should not be even reaching to that stage where they have a bad experience. But things can always fail. So for that matter, you have operational guys and you need to provide them the right tooling to make that experience perfect. So that's how with super big operational companies, that's how the product manager role plays a very, very important role. At times, at the same time, not every team, because we are super big organizations. Not everybody will be owning a product where you need operational guys. Let's say very simply, you are looking at the consumer demand side, how to get more demand. Now it's a completely app-driven thing. Inside the app, you just try to run some experiments, which is the next thing which is the next sort of the most sort through skills basically for B2C companies. Because when we talk about, we are talking about the data, we are talking about the user consumer experience and stuff. At times, it's very difficult to figure out before that, okay, what I want to do. That's what happens with super big companies that, oh, let's build this. Maybe somebody will have an opinion, let's build that. Now to get out of that notion that let's build this or build that, what you do is, obviously, you still need some insights, which is coming through user insights, which comes through data analytics, but you get some high level stuff and then maybe say that, okay, we feel this may work, let's do a XP. And again, that should be very, very quick to set up. That's where the companies are moving towards. Let's want to try something, let's see, let's spread it out and see. Because with Uber, I'm just taking Uber as an example because this is a global company. Sitting here, I do not understand what a person maybe in Spain needs or a person in Germany needs and Japan needs, right? Every market is very, very different. And the best way to understand those kind of requirements is you run those A/B experiments and you gain those insights, and the basis of that, you find like, oh, this makes sense, let's move ahead. Or this doesn't work, let's roll back that feature and then forget about it. So that's how I just say, I just digress a little from the operational because I wanted to cover some other aspects, which are also part of some of these operational stuff. But yeah, that's what my view is how the super big companies with those so much operational issues, how a product manager needs to think and how a product manager can excel there. Yeah, so that you're on mute in case you're speaking.
So sorry. Yeah. So that's rightly said. As from from using Uber, what I understand is that they have automated a lot of these operational issues, and that is because of running a lot of experiments, and that's how they have reached that final stage. And it's a good way to understand that, not to start building instantly, understand, back it up with data, and then go about it and understand, because every market will be different. Even for a product like Uber transportation, it will be very different in different markets. So with that, thank you so much.
And I think that just one more thing which I'll add to, sorry, just to break in between, but one thing I would like to add here is that everybody, being a product manager, you need to understand that technical resources are the costliest in the company. And you are the one who are defining what they should be working for the next X amount of time. This is where you play the most important role. That guys, these are the most important guys, and that's why they're the costliest guys in the industry. So that's why you need to make sure that, okay, what do I want to use my time for? And this is where when we talk about the refunds and appeasement, I may look at it and say that, oh, this still can work operationally. And now this is leading to multi-million dollars of investment. Let's try to automate it and make it work. So those things are sort of how the prioritization, I think, plays a very, very important role in product managers' world. And sorry to break. You were saying
not a problem. That was quite insightful. I understand that, yes, they are the most expensive resource, and prioritization helps reduce technical debt, and it helps improve the final launches out there. With that, this has been quite an insightful conversation with all the panelists here. Before we go, I have a quick fire question. What are the top skills which you think, and I would like to take insights from everyone, which you think that in your experience is most important for a PM? So I'll start out with Nachiketa here, because she has given quite an insightful answer on career progression. So
yeah, so since I want the spotlight, I think I'm going to choose out of the skills that I see in a product manager, most important is empathy. That empathy would be for internal and external stakeholders, along with your customers as well. How many can I choose?
You may choose.
Can I choose 3? Okay, so one is empathy. The other is being data driven and not getting personal about it. The other is communication and collaboration. I don't think a PM can survive without any of these. See, there are lots more. I'm sure all your peers will explain those to you. But these 3 are my top 3.
Absolutely. Right. Divy, over to you.
You know, me and she belong to the same dinosaur age, so I could,
You're not. You're not.
So no, let's accept the fact and let's put it.
Yeah, let's call out the gray hair as we speak.
Yes, it does, absolutely. So you know, I come second her thoughts, and when we could talk about empathy and data. So once you talk about data, it's not about me. It's not about I. It's about we. It's the collaboration, the camaraderie that we have. Be it an internal, let's say we design a product for an end consumer, or we're designing for a B2B. Let's say in case of what Rashad said, in case of Uber Eats, you're doing it for the entire, logistics, transportation. End of the day, they are consumers. They might be your internal employees, but they're the ones who consume the product. So you have to think, remove that I cap and put on that we, the audience for whom you're designing. So that empathy plays a very significant role that you start the journey with them. Am I making the consumer's life easier or more difficult? If you dwell down that, and I think you're home safe.
Right, rightly said.
And data is the most powerful fool. Go back to Ramayana and Mahabharata days, that's the Brahmastra that you have in your arsenal. And with that, you will never fail. Absolutely. Once you have data backing your decision, there is no I, no we. It goes, it's what the consumer wants.
Makes a lot of sense. Shikha, would you like to throw some light on that? What do you look for in a product manager when you're interviewing one?
I think they both have summarized it. I just want to break it into 2 parts. There is an art and there is a science to everything. So science to me comes from strategy and data thinking. Strategy will come when you are more customer centric. So think of the use cases, add data to it, get your hypothesis right. And art is all about execution. You are an enabler and you have to work with multiple teams, right? That's most of us talked about. So think of it like you're driving a car, and you just need to know who will come on the driving seat when to go to the final journey. And that's really the role a product manager does at the time of execution. So yeah, these are some of the things I really value.
Actually,
while driving the car, you need to accommodate the traffic that you run into, especially if you're doing Delhi to Gurgaon. That's the variables. Those are the variables which nobody thinks about. As a product, you don't ever know what might come down.
Absolutely.
I mean, those three, sorry, excuse me, those three responses actually beautifully summarizes what exactly a product manager needs to know and how they need to ace the interview. Specifically, when you're interviewed by the industry leaders. Now we are actually running really short of time. I would like to quickly take up any questions which our audience members have and get a response to them. Jharna, do we have any questions?
Yes, they have been sharing the questions on the chat. So yes, you can read it out from there. Nachiketa answered one. There are three more questions.
Oh, so yeah, this is an interesting one from Rajiv. Is product management a high-paying job? Yathartha, can you please throw some light on that? You're in a global company.
Yeah, well, I think it definitely pays you well. I don't know the definition of high, honestly, but definitely one of the finest paying jobs, I just call it, because that's one of the reasons. Because a lot of times when MBA guys, they want to choose a career, they don't look at, oh, what do I want to do? It's like, how's the company which is paying highest? And these days, product management is one of them because it pays at par with any other consulting companies and stuff. So yes, it's definitely a high paying job, but I think more than high paying, you should also consider that does it go with your skill sets, because that money may not last, or maybe you won't be able to do justice. So do make sure you focus on that part also.
So I'm going to chip in here really quickly for you. Sorry, Siddharth. Okay, so you may have a high paying job, okay, but does that job satisfy you? Okay, so if you feel happy doing that job, and PM is absolutely a space you should not get into if you can't make it. If you don't have the core skills, which this panel has been talking about, you will get extremely frustrated and leave really quickly. Okay, and you'll transition into another role. It is extremely a demanding role that you need to fit into and find your groove. And at any job, what was Amir Khan's dialogue on success? झक मार के आपके पीछे आएगी. तो आप ये high paying सारे profiles के सारे jobs होते हैं if you are good at your job. So, as a general line of work, yes, it is high paying. You are paid very well. You're not paid a pittance, okay, if you've chosen the right company also. So, it's a spectrum that you are on. If you're good, you will get paid. So focus on getting good and don't get focused on, is it a high paying job? In some company, it'll be very high paying. In some startup, you'll get some ESOPs and you'll get a, sort of lesser fixed pay. But that depends on what excites you. Are you in for, the absolute thrill and the kill? Then join a startup where, you're paid in ESOPs and you make it if the company makes it. Join a larger company if you want, to work in a structured environment. So high paying is not something which should be your only criteria, but yes, sab roti kapda makan ke liye kaam karte hain. To kariye, us pe focus kariye. But honestly, that should not be the only decision-making criteria for you. Just adding to what Yathartha is saying.
Absolutely, rightly said. And just to add to that point, grass is always greener on the other side. So with a lot of a high salary also comes a lot of responsibilities.
So with great power comes great responsibility.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Now I have a very interesting question which I would like Anurag to answer. That there is always this confusion between product management and project management. Sandeep Kumar has asked it. How does one go about it?
Well, I think, see, there's 2 points of this question, right? And there, in industry, they're like, this role is diversified in different directions, right? One, probably in Microsoft, we used to call as a program management and the product management. So program management, what I can say is a mix of the, product management plus project management sometimes, and plus few things, right? And now I think we are just trying to, create the right impact. I mean, we are trying to create these titles along with the industry trends and everything, but that's a legacy of the Microsoft I can talk about. And the product management are mostly about the, solving the end-to-end problem. So first of all, project management is a different thing where you just focus on the execution-centric thing. And the product management is something which you are trying to build some solution out of it, right? It's not a specific set of the things which you wanted to execute. You wanted to execute, of course, but you wanted to solve some set of the problems. And for the project management is a defined set of the problems you wanted to execute it. So I think that's my take on it.
Thank you so much. Now, now we are running a little short of time. Actually, we are already on time. I hope that everyone, our panelists and also the people who attended this, found this invigorating session. And thank you to Team Insightner for conducting this. It has been an amazing experience for me. And I hope we can again meet up and have a discussion on the same lines again once more. Thank you so much. Over to you, Jaideep.
Right.
Thank you.
Chana, you're on mute.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't realize that. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Thank you so much, Siddharth, and thanks everyone. That was a really invigorating discussion we had today, and we had some interesting questions, and those were answered too. And yes, a lot of key points, of course, around product management were covered today, and we'll all go back learning something new from here. So thank you to our esteemed panelists and all the guests today who have joined us. So with that, I think we have concluded a very beautiful session today. And we really look forward to connecting with all of you soon for our future endeavors. So thanks everyone for your time and being here with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.